Yo, what's up, everybody,
Hello.
and welcome to Underexposed. I'm usually your host. Today we have something very special going on. We've been having a lot of people wanting to know more about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, who better than to interview me this time than my lovely wife, Kristen.
Si, senor.
So I have no idea how she's going to go about this interview or what questions she has in line. But I'm here for it. So
Let's do it.
yeah, I ask people to introduce themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
my name is Phil. Felipe Villanueva. Reina is my maiden name, but yeah, so I was born and raised all over California.
Yeah.
Constantly moving all over the place. We never really had a hometown. I guess San Jose was kind of like the best hometown we could think of. But I've been living in Sac longer than I've lived anywhere else now. So I guess I'm from Sac. Yeah, my dad was a truck driver. He always looked for the best jobs. So whatever paid best. And that meant moving twice a year sometimes and every other year. So yeah, that's how I grew up. I'm a graphic designer, photographer, videographer, construction worker, do plumbing, electrical, framing. Hit me up if you need anything. I can do it all. I've done business. Yeah, I play bass. I play a little bit of guitar, not enough to like really perform, but
Yeah.
enough towards I can defend myself or follow someone.
And drums. You can keep a beat.
I can keep a beat. I'm very, very pocket. That's as far as I go.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's
Before
me.
we continue, I just want to say hello to all our friends and family, fans, if we have any out there.
All of our listeners, we've had our analytics on the podcast platforms like Spotify, Google, and Apple. We have about 2,000 of you guys listening. So thank every single one of you.
Thank you.
We
I'm
would
glad
not
you guys
be
find
here.
us interesting. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, we would be here because this is fortunately, this is what God has told us to do. And although I haven't really marketed this as a Christian podcast, it's kind of sort of where it's gone a little bit very religious or not necessarily Christian, but
that's not what the goal is here. It's not a Christian podcast.
My whole goal is to just, expose things that are not exposed. And for now, it's just church people.
So far we've been having to ask people that we know, and a lot of people that we know believe in God.
Right. And there are a lot of church people and stuff like that. And that's fine. I'm not going to shun my religion or be ashamed or anything like that. So,
but also we want to invite whoever would like to come and be interviewed on this podcast. You do not have to be a Christian.
Yes.
Okay?
Feel free to send me an email. If you know me, send me a text. If you don't know me, send me an email at underexposed.pod@gmail.com and I'll get back to you and we'll try to set it up so that we can get more people. I'd like to see some doctors, some psychologists. I'd like people in the mental health industry to, whatever we can talk about to expose more about what people don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
But thank you again, every single one of you.
Thank you very much.
So go ahead and get started.
Okay.
I don't know what you have in store for me, so I'm nervous and excited.
Okay. Remember, vulnerable and transparent.
You got it, babe.
Okay. First question I got here. What do people misunderstand about you the most?
I would say my humor. My humor is a self-defense mechanism. If I'm nervous, if I'm uncomfortable, if I'm sad, mad, anything, like I'll start joking.
Yeah, and it's not quite in place.
Right. I will joke at a funeral till everybody's cracking up, including the dude in the casket.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're not cracking up. They're at a funeral.
Well, in my mind.
Bad.
So I guess that's what people most misunderstand about me. If I start joking, I may just be bored or I'm uncomfortable. And I'm not going to tell you because that's just going to be more uncomfortable. I'm not as social as I seem. You know, that's another thing that people misunderstand. I'm a very playful person just in general. And people think that means that, oh, he's social. He's an extrovert. No.
I thought that when I first met you.
Right. Because I was trying to impress you. You know, I was like, dang, girl. Now we're comfortable.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I'm an extrovert with people I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, same.
And I pretend to be an extrovert with people I'm uncomfortable with. And if I just don't like you, sorry, I'm an introvert. Right.
In the same way.
So
you got to let a certain type of people in.
Right. I have stories too of when I was a kid of times where my jokes just went too far because I was nervous or uncomfortable. Specifically too with like the special ed kids.
Oh,
I didn't know. And one of them wanted, this was like middle school, 7th grade. And one of them had just got released. I don't know what the term is.
Really?
Let out of the special ed needs class, but he was probably like a high functioning Asperger's kid or something. And I didn't know. I was awkward. I didn't know him. I didn't know what and he like would ask me questions and I would joke and be like, oh yeah, you got to do this, this and that. And the dude would do it because he was literally taking directions from, and I was just like, why is this kid? And then I found out.
That is so mean, but I get it.
It's been bad. It's been bad, but it's been good too, where people think, oh, he's so down to earth. He's so fun to be around. And I'm just like dying inside because I want to go home.
Get me out of here.
Right, right.
All right. Second question I got. What's your favorite childhood memory? You probably have a lot, huh?
I don't know if I would say a lot. But I have a select few. It just depends on what part of my childhood, like adolescence.
Let's go with
teenage years.
Adolescence.
Sorry, let me just adjust my mic here. I'm a taller person than you. I'm like crouching. Adolescence, like elementary school type.
Yeah.
Best memory. Let's see. Universal Studios.
Oh, yeah.
My dad decided to take the family out to Disneyland and Universal Studios. He straight up told us, this is the first time and the last time I'm taking you guys.
Oh.
It was so expensive.
And it still is.
A working class man who would live paycheck to paycheck. And he had gotten finally a little bit of money and decided, let's live a little.
Yeah.
I mean, he made that choice a few times, but yeah, we stayed at the Hilton.
Dang, the Hilton.
And same thing. He was like, it's the first time and the last time we ever stay at a Hilton. They charged us for every minute we were watching TV. They had a PlayStation console, like one of the old ones.
Oh, wow.
I was playing. I was having the time of my life.
No.
And then we left. My mom ordered like a hamburger or something, and we expected to pay for the hamburger, but we did not expect the television and the internet. if like all of it. My dad at the time had this dinosaur laptop that he would hook up, and he would edit our little church. He would do the PowerPoint presentations back when it was new.
What?
Yeah. Because they would do PowerPoints during the preaching, and we had just upgraded from those monitors with that would reflect the light that you would have to switch the cards. Those see-through cards with the lyrics of the song and stuff. We had just switched out of that to an actual projector, and we were like the high-tech church of whatever. I don't know.
That's funny.
But yeah, so my dad hooked up to the internet to download pictures for the use of
Aw.
the preaching. All of the internet time was clocked. At the time, he spent like $1,500, which nowadays is probably like $7,000 of like expenses, and it was bad.
That's crazy. All right. How about your teenage years?
My teenage years, best memory in my teenage years. I know this will probably be controversial to most, but ninth grade, I got high a lot. And I had fun. I mean, people, of course, at the time it was illegal and we were kids and
Everybody was still doing it.
right. But it was fun. And I would consider that the best time of my life. You know, it was fun. I hated smoking it. I hate it because the cough and all that. To this day, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't smoke weed. It's
Your lungs are shot.
Right. But I like the feeling of being high during that time, especially because I was numbing a lot of my emotions and it was just helping me get through a lot of stuff. And it was just a fun experience to ditch school every day. This is a terrible. Oh God! If you're a high schooler, go to school. I regret not studying, and I mean, I graduated, but I wish I would have gone.
Time matters. It actually does.
I wish I would have gone a different route when it comes to my education. But during high school, I would say that was probably about the funnest time. I made a lot of friends. I got along with a lot of people. Got into some fights, and
You're having fun being a kid.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, next one. How did you meet? Oh, we already talked about that. How we met.
Right. She slid in my DMs.
Okay, let's
That's the way I say it because it's the truth.
No.
And she likes to justify why she slid in my DMs.
No, seriously. You know the truth. Let's tell them the truth.
I just like putting her in this position.
Yes,
it's
cute. Awkward.
Cute to me, awkward to her.
Okay. So, you added me on Facebook. I thought you were someone else, but I didn't remember that person's name.
Right.
So that was it. I added you, and then time went on. We never talked. You liked something that I posted. You laughed at it. You reacted. Whatever.
Yeah.
That thing,
Yeah. Facebook had my back.
And I was like, okay, that's right. I think I know this guy. And so we just started. I messaged him. Do you know this guy? Do you know this person? Come to find out, he knew this one person, a minister. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know him too. And then we just started talking about that. And we just became friends. And that was it.
It was fun. It was funner than maybe you.
Of course, in the moment, it was, well, in my situation, it was a little strange, but I was having fun.
I mean, single mother with kids, you were probably...
Well, widow.
Yeah, and you were watching out for your kids and all that stuff. And I was wilding. Anyways, next question.
I think the more in-depth story on that should be on a time you interview me.
Yeah, we can go down that route.
Okay. Anyways, next question. Ooh, what's your biggest failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
My biggest failure. I'd like to think that I have not failed my biggest yet, because I got some goals and they're huge. But so far, biggest failure probably involves getting ripped off by a school I attended for my contractor's license.
Yeah, I remember that.
I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as my failure, but I guess I failed to see that they were just money hungry.
Yeah.
I spent about $8,000. Well, my dad spent about $6,000 of those dollars, and I invested about another $2,000, $3,000 maybe into the school to get my contractor's license. And Should have read more reviews on the school.
Yeah.
Should have done some more research on it.
And I remember there were like a couple red flags.
First red flag when they told me that
There wasn't a lot.
I was going to be attending school. They use all of the right lingo, and I expected to attend. But all they did was send me some books
Yeah.
and some DVDs, and they were like, "No, that's it. That's all." And I was like,
Watch out, peeps.
what do you
Watch
mean?"
out.
Yeah. So $8,000 for a big book like this, I could have probably downloaded for free on the internet somewhere.
Very frustrating.
Irritating. Yeah. So that was a huge failure.
Big lesson learned.
Big lesson. I would say, well, see, I feel like I categorize failures along with regret. And I don't really regret much in my life. I've started a few businesses. I probably regret not continuing them or exploring them more. I guess biggest failure would be dropping out of college. As far as regret goes, I wish I would have continued and, gotten more out of it, and then to just stop where I stopped.
Maybe that question is probably best for someone that's older.
Yeah, if you got gray hair, you got some failures.
Oh, thanks a lot.
I mean,
I got roots. My roots are not red. I am practically all white.
and you've had plenty.
Yeah.
But this about me, though.
Exactly. Next question. There I am. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
My wife.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. My wife is amazing. I want to be remembered for the guy that got this gorgeous, lovely woman.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm trying to really think of anything else, and I can't really think of anything self-centered. I mean,
What about your perspective?
that would be a good one. I mean, I know that you definitely think of my perspectives all the time, and wouldn't hurt anybody. I do tend to have a different perspective than most, and I'm okay with that.
The way you view the world.
It can be different. I tend to read things a little differently too. So thank you. See, this is why I said my wife. Because my wife pulls the best out of me.
Oh my God. Okay.
Look at her, she's getting red. Did you put on makeup, baby? No, it's just your cheeks.
Shut up. Okay. What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
That I'm smart. I guess it's the best feature I like about me.
Yeah. It's one of the best.
I like to think I'm smart. But then again, whoever thinks they're smart isn't really.
Really?
Because when you're smart, you get to know more about what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I know the more I learn, or the more I know that I don't know. You guys can play with the words if you want, but
You're just showing off now. I'm kidding.
see, it's my smarticles.
What's an insult you received that you're proud of? You asked me that one.
An insult I received that I'm proud of. You're huge.
Oh,
I'm proud of being big.
yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
They said some other things that I wasn't proud of, like fat, but I'm
big one's
definitely
fine.
huge. Yeah, I'm definitely huge, and I will be huge. You can't do nothing about that. And if people point that out, it's because they're little. So,
Yes. Could have told him, oh, good observance. Okay. How would your parents describe what you do?
my parents are jokesters.
Yeah.
They'd probably describe it as he'll go in and destroy your stuff and make it worse.
Yeah. That sounds about
That's
right.
just how they are, though. Yeah, I don't know if they. I guess if they were asked honestly, my dad's been pretty proud of me, and he's been pretty upset with me for not being as smart as he knows I am. I've made some dumb decisions lately, or not lately, but in my adulthood. And so he's had some sit down conversations. He's like, dude, I know you're smart. Why are you doing just stupid things?
Yeah.
And I guess if they had to describe what I do, it would probably be make people's lives better. That's, I try.
You do. What is a funny story your family tells about you that you'd like to share? I wish they were here to say it. That would be funny.
I don't know if it's fair because I'd probably filter it through my own bias. But I don't know what funny family story that they would share about me.
I remember they've said some to me. I can't remember them.
I guess the one my mom said about me when I was a kid, when I was probably about 3-4 years old, my sister and I woke up in the middle of the night and decided to have a food fight in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But the way my mom says it is she walked out of her room because she heard giggling and laughing and like stuff was falling. And she goes out into the kitchen, and as she walks in the kitchen, I was under the kitchen table, or my sister, one of us was under the kitchen table and the other one was underneath another part of the kitchen. And my mom had these buckets under the table, and one of them had beans and the other one had rice and the other one had so-and-so sugar, whatever. And my sister and I were throwing rice and beans at each other across the kitchen. So that I feel like is probably about the funniest story, or one of the funniest stories of our childhood. Something my mom would probably never let go of.
Oh no, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
What is your favorite holiday movie? You don't have one.
Oh God.
You don't watch holiday movies. I tried
really
to get him into. Oh my God, it's slipping my mind. Oh my God. In the 50s, little boy with the glasses. You'll shoot your eye out. Oh my God, I can't. A Christmas Story.
Oh God, no.
I think that's what. Yeah, you didn't like that.
I wasn't into holidays. See, I used to be a firm believer in Santa Claus. And then one day, my whole family all together shattered that reality. And it was with like my brother. We were all in the car on our way to church or something, or our way out of church. And I was excited because they had told us Santa's going to be coming to school tomorrow just to read us a book about A Christmas Story or whatever. The one with the little boy that's on a train. And so we were going to watch a movie. I was so excited. And I remember my brother was like, he's not real, right? I was like, yes, he is. He's like, no, he's not. And then my sister was like, yeah, he's not.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, Mom, Dad, Santa Claus is real, right? And they were like, no, he's not real. What the heck? They're like, who's telling you this? And at my school, they told me he was coming, but he's going to be there. And I was so shattered.
Yeah.
And so then from then on, I became bitter about all holidays.
Dang.
I was just like, I'm done. Nothing is real. It's all fake. I became a conspiracy a conspiracy theorist. Yeah.
I've always kind of known he wasn't real.
I must have been in like first or second grade. So I was probably like 8 years old or so.
Yeah.
And so
For me in the school, they were always talking about it. All the kids believed in him. Right away, my parents were like, "No, it's not about Santa. It's about Jesus." And okay, so I was really trained on just that thought. So I'd go to school and I'd have to pretend that I believed in Santa Claus to be cool.
yeah.
Because I made a mistake on one time mentioning that I didn't believe in him, and what do you mean?
Yeah. People in school can be weird, and your family can also be weirder. I'm not saying your family, but in general, your family could probably be weirder.
I see what you I was like, oh, that was bold. Although, yes, sometimes. Yeah. And I know they would agree.
Right.
Anyways, okay, next I have, what has been your favorite job you've held?
Favorite job? I would probably say the funnest job I had was as a delivery driver for a printing company. I really enjoyed delivering packages. It was very simple, very easy. I was in the car most of the time, just driving up and down the city. I got to know the city very well.
Yeah.
Visited people's houses, visited some skyscrapers, went all the way up to the top floor. It was fun. I would say it's probably the funnest job, but it was the least paid job. I got like minimum wage. So at the time, I think it was like $11 or $10. I think it was like $10 or $11, where minimum wage was actually pretty decent. But yeah, it was very fun, and it wasn't enough. But if I could, I'd probably do that as a retirement job. Yeah,
that's cool. Chill, laid back kind of job. Well, that's what it seems like.
Yeah. I had no responsibility other than to make sure this got there on time. And I failed a few times.
Really?
Yeah, because traffic, sometimes they order them that day, and then we would have to get there by like 3 p.m. and I'd leave at like 2. And it would be all the way across town. Traffic would be at its highest. And so, I mean, it wasn't really my fault, but
If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
My 18-year-old self, a piece of advice. I'm trying to remember what I was up to when I was 18. There's more important things in life than what you're up to. I wasn't really pursuing anything important. I was pursuing a girl. I was pursuing just the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were really important. There's more important things. Yeah.
Very true. What has been your least favorite job?
My least favorite job? See, I don't think I've ever put myself in that kind of position where I didn't like a job I had.
Oh.
I guess I could say that the one job I almost quit was working for a plumbing company. When I had first started, I showed up and they were like, "What do you know?" And I was like, "I don't know anything. Just put me in. I want to learn." They were like, "All right." And they put me in digging trenches. And here's the thing. I like digging now. But I didn't at the time because the supervisor I had was such a Johnson, such a dick. He was mean. He didn't like me because I was naive. First of all, I showed up and everybody there smoked. Everybody there cussed like a sailor. This was new to me because prior to this, I started in construction, but it was with like a dude from church and his crew, and he had rules. So I was used to that, like no cussing, no drinking, no smoking on the job, no nothing. And I show up to this place and everybody's like, here, they open up a case of beer, and I would be the dude in the back, like, you guys shouldn't be drinking while working. Of course they didn't like me. And with the cigarettes, they'd take, a cigarette break every 10, 15 minutes. And then I'd be like, hey, it's not fair. I have to keep working. You guys go smoke. And yeah, I was the anal guy about all the rules and regulate. And they were like, dude, you're the slowest one here. And they'd look at me and they're like, I'll do 3 times what you do with all my cigarette breaks. And I'd be like, well, I didn't really know what to say. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was probably the worst time, or the worst job, or part of my job that I had, was when I was learning how to trench. Mm-hmm. You got to be brutal. You got to be brute. You can't ask the dirt for permission. You can't be nice to it. You have to attack, because that dirt is not going to be. And I did it in a location where it was not soft dirt. It was hard, dry dirt with rocks, with boulders, with all kinds of. Just anytime I would try to stick my shovel in there, it just ding, it wouldn't go through. So, yeah, they had no patience with me. Wow. And in return, that made me want to quit because it was bad.
Have you ever been in a situation where you felt very intimidated?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, plenty of times.
Tell us about that.
Well, with the same job. I was intimidated because everybody there had like 5+ years of experience. Mm-hmm. They all knew what they didn't even need instructions. They were just like, this is what has to happen. And that was it. Mm-hmm. And here I come like, what do I do? And they looked at me like, what do you mean? What do you do? And so they hated the fact that they had to give me instructions. And so they would talk to me like I was stupid. And of course, when it came to that, I was, because I didn't know. I was very intimidated. Funny thing, though, about 2 years into that job, I escalated. I got better and better. I moved to different departments. I learned the trade very well. I went to school for it. I got my journeyman license, and I started getting very good at plumbing. Mm-hmm. They opened a division so that we can have pre-inspections before the city would come to inspect. I then became the inspector of the project that I had first started in 2 years ago. And they did not pass inspection. So my old supervisor was not happy to see that the dude he treated very badly showed up and failed all of his work because it was all out of code. Mm. And he tried to argue and say that it's not important. It's still going to work. And I told him, I don't care. That's not code. It's not going to pass with the city. It's not going to pass with me. So he had to later on learn that people change, people learn. Mm. So I got payback in a way.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of hard work and learning. It took literally 2 years or so for me to finally climb up to that level to be able to say, hey, man, I know you taught me this, but now I have to come back and correct you. Because it's wrong. And he was one of those guys that, I've been doing it for 30 years. And you just got here. Ouch. I'm sorry if this is how you've been doing it. You've been doing it wrong for 30 years.
Oh my God.
And that would sting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So needless to say, he continually probably still doesn't like me to this day. But I don't work there no more. So yeah. That was that.
Let's see. Tell me about the 3 most influential people in your life and how they impacted
you. 3 most influential. Mm-hmm. My dad, my mom, and my big brother. In that order. They influenced me both positively and negatively. I got my dad's work ethic, where I work hard, and I will always work hard. There's no point in not working hard. If you want to be comfortable, that's just not, you're not a man. And from my mom, I got some positive and some negative influences. You know, she was the disciplinarian of our home.
Sorry about that background noise. I think it's the...
They're washing our street right now.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Hey, you guys gotta just chill, all right? This is our neighbor. This is our home, okay? There's gonna be some noises, all right? We ain't got a studio yet. Unless, you know, y'all want to start sharing and liking our stuff. Just throwing that in there. Please share.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way you're gonna make us monetize this, and then we don't have to worry about noises like that. But whatever. So yeah, my dad, my mom, she influenced me positively and negatively. She was the disciplinarian. She was a stay-at-home mom, so a lot of what she did was just out of frustration. Maybe we were in her way. You know, she would definitely charge us with a heavy hand, but I get it now. You know, she didn't have the technology we have now. She didn't have the patience that she has now. So a lot of that came and affected us, but also made us who we are. My brother was a huge influence because he was the big bro. He was the guy I looked up to. I wanted to have his friends. That he was a cool guy. He was, you know, in my eyes, he was like the coolest guy. And so he made a big impact. The things he liked, I ended up liking. He got into hip hop. I got into hip hop. He got into PC gaming. I got into PC gaming.
Kind of how it goes.
He got into IT. I got into IT. You know.
What about photography?
Photography, I started.
Oh,
that one I could say he got into it because of me. But yeah, we both did the photography for some time, and I loved it. You know, and when I moved out of Mexico, I moved in with him, even though he didn't really have a place. Like, he moved me in with his in-laws. Like, he was a huge influence. He really pushed me in for school to finish high school because my grades were terrible. And I wasn't going to graduate if I kept going the way I was going. So he was a huge influence. I would say that for the first 16 to 18 years of my life, my dad was the biggest influence. And after the 16, 17, 18 years, my brother was the biggest influence. And yeah, I wanted to do everything the way he did it because I would see that he got the wife, the kids, you know, the dogs, the cats, the white picket fence. And I wanted all of it. I wanted what he had. Not because I didn't want exactly what he had, but I wanted my own version of it.
Yeah.
And I definitely now want this noise to stop. Anyways. Those are the three probably most influential people. And
Your mom.
My mom, I talked about my mom. She was the disciplinarian and all that. My sister, she was up there with my mom. Her and I, we kind of looked at each other like roommates or friends. You know, not really friends, but like more like roommates, I guess. Like, we're just around each other. She wasn't allowed to go anywhere without me or my brother. And because that's just how Hispanic parents do it.
Yeah.
Take your brother, take your other brother.
Yeah.
You know? Because she's a girl and we were tasked with protecting her, which I did terribly at. Because I didn't want to do anything. But yeah, she was around a lot. She was influential in the sense that, like, if I needed advice for like someone I was into, she would be there.
The girl perspective.
Right. She gave me a lot of that. In high school, I hid behind her shadow a lot because she was the popular girl that all the little kids thought that she was really pretty, and she was.
Mhm.
She was very pretty, and so everyone wanted to get close to me to get close to her.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of it out of her. You know, it was one of those relationships where it was that bittersweet love-hate relationship where her and I wouldn't really hang out unless it was something I wanted
Yeah.
or something she wanted.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was my family. We were very much a core unit, like a niche. We had our bubble because
Yeah.
we were constantly moving.
Mhm.
We didn't have like hateful relationships with each other. We wanted to be around each other always. And so we didn't have friends, and every year we'd move. So we kind of had to be each other's
Yeah.
friends.
Mhm.
And so that's why we were all kind of very much in this bubble of family. And once we all started leaving this bubble, it became a little different.
Mhm.
So yeah, those were
That's nice.
my influential peoples.
What?
Is there any question you can think of that you didn't have to Google or?
Let me see. What's the most embarrassing moment? And what did you learn from it?
I gotta go there.
Sorry.
This is my wife, guys. she's a very. So I was told I was insightful. My wife, on the other hand, is on a whole other level
What?
of insightful. Most embarrassing thing I've done. Jesus Christ.
In adulthood.
In adulthood. Oh, okay. That narrows it down a little bit. In adulthood, most embarrassing thing I've done. I'd probably go to jail for this if the wrong person watched. But let's say,
pick another one.
I'll say it in this so I don't incriminate myself. Okay. I had a friend, wink, wink.
Okay, whatever. Just go. It's too late now.
Who couldn't do his car payments.
Uh-huh.
And so he decided that, maybe if the car was totaled, then he didn't have to continue making those car payments. And he went, and let's just say there was arson involved, and the car was now indeed totaled, but the friend accidentally burned his whole face along with it.
Awful.
And when we made the police report, or when he made the police report, police was like, "What's going on with your face? Why is it all?" I don't know. He was like, "I gotta go to church though." And the lesson I learned from my friend's story was that maybe you should just pay your bills, and also maybe don't go into debt with something you can't afford.
Maybe. It's my friend.
So that was a very painful experience for this friend of mine. And his beard was burned. He had that burnt hair smell for like weeks. Burnt eyelashes, burned eyebrows. His whole hairline was burned. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was a very embarrassing moment for my friend's life.
My friend's life.
Yeah. So,
well,
in adulthood.
Yeah. I don't think there's no harm in sharing just right now how we met. I guess, do you mind if I say it, or do you want to say it?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So how we met. Well, let me just rewind about a month before him and I met. Actually, further. So I was once married before, for about 4.5 years. to someone else, and he passed away very early 2019. And so that pretty much that whole year was towards the end. It was very, very difficult. It was a lot of course, going through grieving, and grieving is something that is still going on. But as far as like healing from him being gone, the whole like departure, that living in that reality, I'm healed from that. And it was, dating was not in my mind. I clearly not in my mind. I was focused on being single. I already had my mind trained to go back to living a single life in a sense, even though I had kids. I had 2 kids at that time, not technically fully single, but I was like set on that. So it was around, I don't remember when you added me on Facebook.
It was in October.
October?
It was in October of 2019 because Athena's birthday was coming up.
Oh, yeah. That's right. So anyways, yeah, I told you how that happened, and we didn't really talk that much yet until late October. And then I'd say a week before him and I met face to face, I was at singing at a church, helping them out. And at the end, this older woman that was a member of the church came up to me and said, I feel in the spirit that I need to tell you that God is sending someone very, very soon. And you need to be ready. And I'm like, whoa, that was unexpected. Why so soon? But because of the intimate relationship that I have with him, I knew like, okay, if this is really him, I'm okay with it. The timing is now for whatever reason. Okay, let's do it. I was open to the idea of it. And then a week later, that's when I messaged you and we started talking. And then
I like to say slid in my DMs.
Okay, fine. I slid in the DMs.
That's a very important part of it for me.
And then later in the conversation, I find out, okay, this guy is not who I thought it was. But okay, whatever. I was open to it. And then one thing led to another. We finally met in person.
Yeah, so that part, I remember like, oh, I'm going to be going to SF this weekend. What are you up to? And you were like, oh, that's nice. That must be nice. I'm just going to be home.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
that's right. No. I was supposed to go out somewhere with friends, but they canceled, and I had already gotten a babysitter. The kids were going to be gone over the weekend, and I'm like, well, I want to do something.
And I was like,
going to take advantage of
why don't you come to SF with me? But you're a responsible mother. You were like, I can't be far away from my kids. I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I could go to Fresno.
And I was like, what? This guy's going to come all the way from Sac?
Yeah. And so that's what we did. We went on a date. We went to Yard House. And
I was scared because like I met him on social media. I talked to a friend and I'm like, okay, girl, I'm going to try it, but just keep your phone close because I hope he's not a serial killer.
Shout out to Adri.
Yes, my girl. I love you, girl.
She was super excited. I heard over the phone.
And she kept like the whole date, or the whole time, throughout the whole date, she was texting me and saying, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?"
Maybe we can acknowledge how scary it is for women to date.
Yeah.
Now, like not just nowadays, but like just in general, it's always been like, what was that? You want to meet with me alone in the dark?
The dark.
At night, you know? And then you want to come to my place by ourselves? Like, what if it's a murderer?
Yeah, it's scary, but
It's terrifying.
I've also had a lot of friends that have met great guys on social media.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
a few years into it, we're loving it. So
yeah, exactly. We're happy now. Anyway, so it's funny. I used to make fun of people that would say like, "Oh, I fell in love with him at first sight," or vice versa.
I was a strict believer in that didn't exist until we met.
Yeah. Even my first husband, it was love at first sight for him, but it wasn't for me because I didn't believe in that.
Yeah.
And then when I met him, Felipe, it was love at first sight.
Yeah. Talk about me, baby.
I just knew it. The connection was,
yeah.
It felt so spiritual, like boom. And we look at each other like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Like we felt something.
This is how deep it was. I was showing up with different intentions at first.
Yeah.
I was showing up with the intentions of maybe getting laid.
Yeah.
Maybe ghosting afterwards. I don't know. And then little did I know that we would have so much to talk about, so much to connect with, that I was at the end of the night just in awe. Yeah. I was shook because
that's a good word.
This chick from Fresno was something else. And I hated the fact that I had these feelings for you because I wanted to keep messing around. I wanted to keep doing things.
And clearly I wasn't in that state. I was told God was probably going to be sending me a husband. So I'm looking for husband material.
Yeah. And see, I had heard something similar where, someone had told me to stop messing around. And they said the reason is because you might be waiting for the right person. But if the right person sees you messing around, why would the right person be with you now, the wrong person? And so when I met her, I knew she was the right person.
Me.
Yeah. and I had to make a decision to also be the right person for you. And that meant dropping everything for this lifestyle. So yeah, I mean, probably a month before then, I was fooling around all over the place, and as much as that might trigger some people, maybe people that know you, but I probably wasn't the best person for you to be with if people had seen the criteria.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't blame them. I was quite a fool, and I was doing the most and doing the least in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
So, that was how we met. After that, I decided this is it. Get my life together.
We knew it. We immediately knew. Beyond a shadow of doubt, we knew it. And we both didn't want to do. We were thought about doing long distance, but we're both not good at liking that. We both hated long distance.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had been on a long distance relationship, and it's not. No, I'm not gonna talk to you over a device. It's not the same as human contact,
connection.
Right. I mean, in person, we could sit here in silence and be okay with it. On the phone, it would get a little silent, and you just like, all right, well, I'm gonna hang up because my arm's getting tired of holding this here. Like, reality will hit you real hard, and it's not the same. And so,
but at that time in my life, I was already, even with my first husband, we always wanted to leave Fresno. We always wanted to move out, go somewhere new. And that stuck with me. I've been wanting to move out of Fresno. I felt like this is a good time. The kids weren't in school yet. Let's do it. let's see how it goes. You know? And I did all the math work.
No, you didn't. I did.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did.
You're a terrible mather.
A mather. Well, we both did. But you did most of it.
I had to do, yeah.
But
For those of you that don't know, my wife, she's the most sweetest, kindest, loving person. She's got so many great qualities, but she can't math
at all.
And that's where I step in. That's where I complete you in that.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's why that's our story. I ended up bringing my kids here, Athena and Josiah, and this is our home now. We love it.
Yeah. One of the other things too, I want to share this part because one of the other things that really made me, it like solidified a lot. Mm. And it solidified a lot for me spiritually, like in the sense that for sure there's such thing as a calling and a purpose from God. Because when I met Athena, I had such an experience with her. She was the most brightest child, full of love. Yeah, she still is. Mm-hmm. But she had this energy in her. Like she was just a little ball of energy and
love.
And she loved everything. Is her favorite thing.
It still is, yeah.
It still is. If you give her some Chinese, this is my favorite food. If you give her some Mexican food, this is my favorite food. And if you did this or that or put that movie on her, everything is her favorite.
Wonderful, right? Beautiful.
And so I met this little girl, and we decided, or you decided that okay, if this is gonna be a thing, then you need to meet my kids. Mm-hmm. You know, and I agreed. And so as soon as I walk into the door, Athena looks at me and she runs and hugs me like, Daddy. And I was like, what?
She said, you're my new daddy.
And then she says, you're my new daddy. And she went up to you, pulling my hand, and she was like, Mommy, this is the new daddy I was telling you about. Because I guess she was praying for a new daddy. Uh-huh. And it shook me completely. Yeah. And she was like, this is it. Like, just letting you know, Mom, I have visions of this.
What you guys don't know is, yes, like this girl, it's like her intuition is already like going. She's only, when she met you, she was only 5. So, but already like there's things she would predict. Someone's, I don't remember. I can't think of something on the spot. It's annoying about me. I'm frustrated, but she has a lot of instances where she'll predict something and she's spot on. And so when this happened, it tripped me out. I felt it like in the spirit.
Yeah. That was an experience I would never forget. And to this day, it's something I think about sometimes where, marriage life, the whole family life gets hard. And I'll go back to that thought and, no, I didn't make no mistakes. This is where I belong. Saya, on the other hand, I had to earn him.
Yeah.
He was not going to be easy.
No. He's like, Daddy.
He would walk out of the room and he would like walk by with a toy and he would do the whole the side-eye peripheral
keeping
check.
An eye on you.
And then I would be like, hey, Saya, do you want to sit on my lap? And then he'd just like, no. Mm-hmm. No, he would just like,
I don't know you. No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was nonverbal at the time, so he wouldn't say no, but he would just like, no. Mm-hmm. And until slowly he started getting a little closer. He would go and sit across the living room. He would no longer be in his room.
Yeah.
And then later on, he would go and sit next on the far end of the couch. Mm-hmm. And then you and I would be all cuddled up on the couch watching a movie or something. And then he would come between us and he would like shove himself in, like, get away from my mom. He was hilarious. But,
he was a typical boy.
Mm-hmm. But he was doing his job. He was protecting Mama. He was making sure he was keeping an eye out, and he was funny. He was real funny. And then
But you
one
won
day,
him pretty quick.
yeah. And then one day I decided like to pick him up and like play
Oh,
with
yeah.
him, and he loved it.
That was it.
And so then he went on repeat, like do it again, 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 again. And I remember
Yep.
throwing him up with like I would grab his legs and yeah. But it took he was a hard work. It took a lot. But he was fun. He was funny.
Deep question.
Go for it. That's what we're here for.
Oh, what time?
We're good.
Okay.
If y'all hear an alarm go off, it is time for my wife to depart.
Yes.
And then we would probably end the episode. So
Might
it's
be a
all
little
right.
shorter.
It
today.
might be it's fine. It's a short episode about me. Just so y'all kind of get some perspective of who I am.
Okay. Good question, though.
Go for it. Go for it.
So something I very, very much admire about you is how you have been handling being married to a widow. I commend you on that.
Thank you.
So my question is, how are you doing it?
Well, one, I don't really look at it as something to do. It's just something that is. I can't relate. I can only imagine it must be very difficult. And with my imagination, that's where I can try to see your perspective on how difficult it must be for you to be with someone new. For you to have these feelings of love that you feel that you're not supposed to have because he's gone.
I'm sorry, I'm crying already.
And it's fine. I mean, I can only try to be patient with you because what's the point of me taking anything out on you for losing someone very special, very good from what I hear? From what I hear, he was a great man.
Yeah.
He did nothing wrong. This isn't a divorce.
Yeah.
This isn't something that you guys mutually agreed to split. I can't make you not love him. He did it. He did his part. So in that perspective, I can't be selfish to think, to think of getting upset when you bring him up, getting upset when you remember him. It's just, it would be selfish of me. I don't understand most of the time. And it's not to say too that I haven't had feelings before where I feel like I'm competing with this guy. Those are natural feelings. And that's just the way I look at it. I avoid thinking with emotions because then I lose. And I would not get to a train of thought or a thought process that's healthy. I mean, the truth of the matter is that you're not going to ever forget him. So I can either make you feel uncomfortable when you do think of him, or I can embrace his memory along with you and help you through that process. It's pointless for me to try anything else, to try to make him disappear. Life will do that.
Yeah.
And he was a great person. He's someone worth remembering. And I mean, if I'm honest, he did do a lot for you. He taught you so much that if he would have never been in the picture, you and I would never work out.
At all.
Like he dealt with certain toxic parts of you that
I still have anger issues, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was when I was married to him. And his patience and love is what gave me a new perspective and helped me change.
So, yeah, I mean, when you ask, how do I do it? I don't really look at it as something I do. It's not a task. It doesn't require any effort because I don't make it require effort out of me. It's just one of those things that a lot of people are just not going to understand because you don't know what it's like to lose somebody, especially a husband, a good one at that. It'd be different if he was a terrible husband and he died. You'd be bitter. Then I would really have some things to deal with because he wouldn't have given you the closure to let out your frustrations you had with him when he was alive. Or if this was divorce, then we'd have to deal with like baby daddy issues or custody issues and stuff like that. Like I'm blessed to not have to deal with any of that, but I'm also blessed to not have to deal with the stress behind sharing a parent. I had to come into these kids' life and really be their dad. I may not be their biological father, but they call me daddy because I step up and I do what I have to. Not to say that their daddy wasn't a good daddy, but I take over from here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be him. That's something that we've definitely established.
Yep.
Where
there's times where
we're different.
I forget because before Felipe, I was married just once. So all I know is marriage is supposed to be that one way.
Right.
So now that I'm doing it again, I'm learning, oh, of course he's not exactly the same person as Alex was. Like,
not only that, but you also now walking into your second marriage, it's different.
It's way different.
Because you walked into a marriage as a new thing with him. And you walked into marriage with me. Again, you had expectations I had no idea about. You had certain training. You were already exposed to what marriage life is supposed to be or the achievements you gained with him. And now you had to start over.
Yeah.
And for me, it was all like, try to keep up with this person who's played the game of marriage. And that's just using a term just to put it into context, perspective. But she was already playing this game 4 years into it or so. And I walked in a newbie trying to play this game at the same level. And we were just not at the same level. There's a lot of things that I didn't know the rules work this way. And I didn't know that if I did this would happen. And she, thank God you were patient enough to like let me stumble sometimes. And other times you wouldn't let me stumble and it would piss me off. But I think that was probably harder than dealing with you losing a husband and remembering him. Like that's the least of it. That's not even an issue. The bigger issues were your level of experience compared to mine. When it came to parenting, you had kids. They were 4 years, 5 years, 3, 4 years of age. And therefore you had been a parent for about 4 years of your life. And I was walking into it new. And came in trying to set rules and be the rule maker.
And I already had my set rules that
right. You had things that
made by Alex
and there were some things that he did that I didn't do his way. That
he was a little more traditional.
Sure.
Like traditional Mexican.
Right. And I decided not to do those things because I mean, if I'm going to be taking over this, there can't be two kings in one castle.
Yeah.
And although it sounds very wrong to speak of him like this, but
I understand that.
He lost his kingship because he's gone now.
Yes.
He's no longer the king of this castle. He is a great memory. And he will have his memorial stones where we remember him. And although I never met him, I thank God for him because he dealt with all of your stuff before I had to.
Yeah.
And we would have dealt with them differently. The dude was patient. The man was a man. He was a good man. And I've met his family. I've met where he comes from. I've met people that have met him and know him. And all I have is a good impression. So I have some big shoes to fill. And the way I told you when you told me that.
You have your own shoes.
Yeah, I have big feet.
Yes.
and they're different type of shoes. That's all. They're just different types of shoes, and I'll fill them. Just gonna change the shoe a little bit here and there and move forward.
What attracted me to you, though, is, well, the things that the both of you do have in common. I have a type, clearly, appearance-wise, but I also have a type character speaking. And there's things that you're teaching the kids that he did teach them, but then you're adding things that I would have never thought of.
Sure.
But yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we could probably call it a good time to end.
Yeah.
If any of you have any more questions, comments, concerns, email me at underexposed.pod it's underexposed.pod@gmail.com. And feel free to hit me up if you want to be a part of this podcast. If you guys have any questions for the wifey here, we will be doing plenty more episodes. We'll probably bring up some topics too where we can focus more on, a more topical conversation about whatever. And we'll just bring some stuff out. That's fine. And I don't know. I think this is it.
Okay.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Peace out.
See ya.